but they're none of the people you see that are supposed to be.
The Pizzagate people picked it up as a very not so technical issue, but when we really got down to the micro management, sort of problem.
The detail layers.
The detailed problem. Not just that. It is. It was a demonic influence, and it was exposing itself very publicly. However, it's a very micro issue, if you will.
But I want to definitely kind of say this, which was, fortunately though, looking back on it, we had reached a point where they could not, quotation marks, their sources, they couldn't work the information in anymore, because it meant that they would have had to incorporate, a bunch of different political and a bunch of different, entertainment and a bunch of different other things, and then that would have made them look funny, because here they are trying to initially incorporate, other people from Hollywood into their, their narrative, and then like, oh, I'm buddies with, and they said this, and then finally it just got to a place where let's
bring that up a little bit. Let's talk about the narrative, and this is the thing. Not just is aside from Hollywood. Let's talk about the political narrative, like SB 143.
Right now, they're basically trying to tell you to your face, we want to give you all the, we want to poison. I mean, and this is how I know that. This is how I know that. Okay, so post Lynn Wood, right? Post Lynn Wood's statement, like a few months back, which I have personally already suspected this, and then after I looked at the information, I was like, yeah, that's pretty much what happened, which is. The narrative that they give you about the voting count for America is static. Almost every year, it's static. Only 120 million people are going to vote. Really? Only 120 million people are going to vote? And what that's really about, them telling you that over and over again, is the fact that they want to add a couple million here, a couple million there every 10 years or every 4, whenever it's necessary. But the main point for me bringing that up is to say that they give you this static number every year, and it always puzzled me, but I would always tune it out. That's my own cognitive dissonance. But I would always tune it out, and what really stuck out this year was that moment they slipped up. Because the reason why they slipped up is because they were trying to, front load the narrative of there's 120 million votes. They made a really big deal about it. 120 million votes. And then, as the whole thing, came out, later on, Lynn Wood, let it be known, well, actually, it wasn't 120 million votes. It was more like 100 and, it was more like 100 and,
but we actually did a show. We actually did several shows. Excuse me. My son knocked out my front tooth. I apologize. I have a little bit of a list.
Okay. Okay. So they did. It's like, realistically, the actual vote count was somewhere in the area of maybe 125 or 130 million votes. Now the reality is that even though Trump has been saying 80, the number as time moved on, it was 80 million, and then later on he's gone on record to say 75 or 78 million. I got to look it up again. But what he was doing by saying that was he was saying, okay, we're going to go with this narrative of 120 million. Well, look, I got this many. But the reality is that he got 120 million votes. And at the end of the day, it was the most legitimate, highest voter turnout. But the problem was the 120 million votes he got, if you'd have added those in with all the other fake votes. Now, keep in mind, there's 120 million people voting, and we know that you're going to take 80 million or 88 million votes and automatically give them to Joe Biden. Then why is it still that when we look at the numbers and do all the recounts, and look at the stats and all the all the electrical readout data, he still ends up with about 120. So that means that there was actually about 130 million you had to get rid of. It's crazy. They would have had to get rid of another, like, I don't even know. They would have had to compensate for that by trying to hide about 60 million votes. 60 million votes, essentially. 60 million votes. So, plus adding another 20 million. But the point is that when this is all done, we're going to find out that Donald Trump may have gotten anywhere from 120 to 125 million votes, while simultaneously, Joe Biden barely got 500 to 8 million votes.
Wow. Wow. Are you kidding me?
And people are going to say, oh, how do you know that? How do you know that? How do you know that? It's like, don't worry about how I know it. Don't worry about me telling you that. Why don't we all just wait and see?
Oh, my God. Are you kidding me?
Because a man can lie. I can be lying to you right now. I can be lying through my teeth, but numbers aren't going to lie. And once we have a chance to sit down and look at it, because again, so now we're at a point where I think
we all really thought this in the deep recesses of our mind. Oh my God! Okay.
But now we're at a point though where everything everything we talked about was going to happen is happening. So Trump's just moving himself in the position to be able to, manage the demolition. And most people are running around saying he conceded already. It's like he did no such thing.
So I just want to digress a little bit, okay?
Okay.
We're talking about Trump votes, right? And the whole Trump election. And I agree with you. Absolutely. 100%. All of it. And I want to, by digressing, I want to sort of solidify what you're saying in a sense. When we originally started doing our activism, we were speaking out against, the child sex trafficking in Los Angeles and California. And we were pointing out the issues, with Governor Pan or his agenda. We were also talking and speaking out very loudly about SB 1322 and SB Senate Bill 145, specifically SB Senate Bill 1322 and SB 145, which had a lot to do with the child trafficking being legalized in California. And I just wanted to kind of bring that up a little bit. So we could I don't know that... Are you there?
I'm here.
Okay. I want to say yes, the election, yes, I agree with you, everything, but this is really important as well, because I don't believe that people are actually voting for any of all of this stuff, like the whole enchilada.
Oh no, and that goes right back to what we're looking at here, which is how much legislation that came up on the docket was actually co-opted by their criminal, voting system. Like how many laws were?
If you look at
that they tried to pretend. Because some of the things that they put on the bill, they knew no one. There's things that they would have put on the bill if they thought they could have pretended like people voted for it, meaning that they're taking polls or they're just kind of like data mining and saying they're not going to let us get away with this. So let's just create a problem and then say, oh look, here's a law, or let's just. You know what I mean? Like, and that's the weird thing you have to realize is that these people are so far removed from knowing their place. Like, here's the thing: they're civil servants, and when I say they're civil servants, I mean they're supposed to be afraid of you at all times for a number of legal reasons. Never mind, threats of violence. Forget that. For a number of
public documentation online
and poverty, they're supposed to fear you at all times. But that's another conversation. But the point is that with the legislation they tried to push with, or the legislation they pushed with the child prostitution decriminalization, the vaccine laws they tried to push out there, what you suddenly realize is that there's a lot of this stuff they know they can't get through on the ballot, but they've gotten everything to a place now where they've been able to galvanize people's, dissent about their misgivings, right? About their dysfunction, about their corruption, and project it onto someone else, because that's pretty much what they do. But what we're looking at here now is that now everyone can see it. Now everyone can see, hey, I never wanted that one law. How did it get there? And then, like, the really messed up part is that if I woke up tomorrow and I was a Californian and I had the ability to try to go and, rally some people to do a referendum and get it removed, I can be rest assured that the person who works in the clerk's office that's supposed to take care of that is not going to do their job because they're co-opted into that mechanism. And now that, unfortunately, like, you had people who, let me put it this way, the woman in Michigan and the other guy who were the vote certifiers, that woman has more bravery than 90% of those Democratic and Republican senators who knew it was wrong, but just agreed with it because they didn't want any trouble. Because they know that, like, these people are, they know the breadth and depth of the psychotic nature and the murderous psychotic nature, homicidal nature of these people. Although we've reached a point, though, where they're trying to keep a good face and come out and read their script to you, but they can't really read the script because they don't know what's going to happen next. So the only thing they can go with is he's going to do this, and he's dangerous, and he's got the launch codes, and we got to, the other day, Nancy Pelosi tried to call Pence and say, do the 25th Amendment. He didn't go for that because Pence knows he's finished. Pence knows something they don't know. Pence knows this is as far as we can take it. All we can do is hope that he makes a mistake, which he knows he's not. And Pence just tried to soften his spanking. But they know that that's not going to work. So when Pence didn't capitulate for her to call the military to remove the president, this was yesterday, she decided she was going to go around him and then go directly to the Pentagon and ask them. And the Pentagon gave her, a pretty direct message, which was something akin to, I can read that to you, I should have pulled it up earlier. But the Pentagon basically told Nancy Pelosi in no uncertain terms, here, let me just pull this up for you. Just give me a moment, folks. Just sliding through. I know it's in here. Let's see. Give me a moment. Give me one moment. Sorry, I wish I was faster at this. There it is. I believe that's it. There it is. It says, Mr. Trump. Okay, I don't know what that's about. It says, it was Mr. Trump. They noted is still the commander-in-chief. So this message came back to Nancy Pelosi. This was a statement that came out. So this isn't verbatim of the conversation between those two, but this is a distillate or synopsis of what they said as a statement from a representative from the Pentagon. They said, Mr. Trump, they noted, is still commander-in-chief. Unless he is removed, the military is bound to follow his lawful orders, while military officials can refuse to carry out orders they view as illegal or slow the process by sending those orders for careful legal review. They cannot remove the president from the chain of command. And then this is where they say it very importantly. They say, that would amount to a military coup, the officials say. So he basically let her know, the fact that you asked me this is sedition. The fact that you're thinking about doing this is sedition and treason, because I'm a witness. Everyone that's reading this letter is a witness. Well, see, here's the funny thing. is the person who she went to, in the Pentagon was not the Secretary of Defense. It was someone in his